Oh no! I wanted them to see you.
Well, you had it so that there wasn't any tilt in it, and
because I had it perfect. I know.
No. So just lean to the left a little bit through the whole episode, and we're good. See, it's all straight.
Hi,
How
folks.
y'all doing? Hey, we're back for another episode of that. Well, wait, we're letting him hit buttons.
Yeah, well, we can talk. We can say words.
I've got an intro, but I like for people to hear it because most people when they tune in, they probably jump over my intro. And I go to a lot of trouble. It takes me seconds to write these.
I know.
And I like for people to hear them.
I don't blame you. That's important.
This one I did all of a whole sentence, so maybe 2 sentences.
2 sentences.
Yeah.
Did it hurt?
No, it was quite simple actually.
Quite simple. That's good.
Hey, Mark is in here, so you can talk about him a little later.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to talk on Marcus some. That'll give us some filler.
Tell us all about his meat.
Yeah, well, you know. Trying to get all the local ones at least here,
All the local ones.
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas,
I didn't know if you meant like in the United States or like what. Hey, we're getting up there. We got a handful of folks. And hey, Frank, how's it going up there in Bolivar? Oh, yeah.
You don't like this, Frank?
He always tells me I'm scooting him out of the screen, but I'm a hefty boy. I'm a kegger.
Oh, yeah.
Hell with them 6-packs. I'm a keg.
Oh, look at there. We're up 7-8 people.
He does need a haircut.
I'll get there one day.
Jane does real good ones, if you'll notice.
Oh.
Anyway, welcome back to Chatter, where we just missed out by this much. The MTG Nobel Prize for podcasting about squirrels from a Midwestern state.
We were third. We almost.
No, I think we closed into second right there at the end.
Right there at the end.
I mean, they don't really want to give out anybody but the number ones, but I think we were right there, and I think we were in top 2. I think we just missed it. So anyway, stick with us and keep bringing some people in, and maybe we can get it next year, because we've been wanting that Nobel Prize for the squirrel casting.
That's the squirrel casting. No.
Yeah. Squirrel casting. Yeah, we're not we're nut casting.
We're nut casting. That's.
Chatter the Squirrels, this is our nutcast. Nobody's going to like that.
I was very sad. I don't know if we should.
Y'all should not be happy with yourselves right now. I'm just going to tell you that. Well, there's a boykin. Look at that.
He's trying to shear my hair off.
Yeah. Woo. So anyway, we are back for another fun-filled, possibly
content-filled,
possibly short episode. The C word has really got us down, both of them. And we should clarify that because we know where their minds are at.
You dirty.
The COVID. The COVID's got us with no events, and the companions apparently are just ripping Magic a new one.
Right. But tomorrow we'll actually have cards in our hands to find out for ourselves, but we haven't got to play with the cards yet, and they're pretty tired of companion already. Yeah,
we got an announcement, as Wizards is starting to do, that next Monday there'll be a BNR announcement that's going to affect Vintage, Legacy, and Brawl.
Ooh.
And everybody in the world knows that it's about companions. We just don't know how many or which ones.
Luris, Garuda.
I don't know. I haven't played with any of these cards. So, but that's coming up on Monday, so we'll find out what they're doing. If they're just going to ban them in Brawl, or if they're going to change how the mechanic works, or there's just tons of speculation on this. If they're just going to ban a few, or if they're just going to ban the mechanic, or what, I mean, you get to play with Black Lotus in Vintage, and if they ban one of these companions, that's weird.
That's very, very weird.
It's very weird. All right, so that's coming up. And it said that MTGO leagues for those formats will end at that time and be restarted with updates. So right away, if you play in the MitGo. Yeah.
And I ain't heard it called that in a while.
Yeah. I'm an old timer. I don't play it, but I know it used to be called MitGo before they called it the other thing.
Modo,
yeah. Modo don't make any sense. MTGO, it's MitGo.
Moto, I just know that's what they call it too.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, if you guys will notice, on the Facebook page today, I shared out a survey from WotC, and they're taking a survey to find out how you guys play Magic. Do you play it at home, play with friends, you play in a LGS? I'd like for you to lie, if you don't mind, even if it's not true. I'd like for you to go tell them that, hey, thanks for making it till... There we go. So
now they can watch me.
I'd like for you to go tell them that you play at an LGS, and that's the way you prefer to play, and you'd like to play there some more as soon as possible. Soon as possible. So you give them that feedback. And even if you're not local to my GS, then maybe you're local to another one, and it'll help them out.
Yep.
So go in there, fill out that survey, fill it out honestly. I'm just joking with you. I'm just joking with you. Really mean it. I can't do Subliminal Man. We need Kevin Nealon. He's Subliminal Man. I'm old. That's old Saturday night, and you kids probably don't know what Subliminal Man is. It's okay. Makes me sad, but it's okay.
It's Kevin Nealon. Yeah.
So, it's the only good thing he ever did.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So, anyway. Going along with that online thing, Magic Fests are done. They're going to take a week break and come back with something new.
Right.
So that you can play your digital Magic in a different way, but not as an online Magic Fest. They're done with them.
On the heels of that, though, I did see just here recently before we went on that they are going to be doing on June 6th, they are going to have a online Command Fest. It's actually going to be a free of charge with donations.
Please donate.
Please donate to Red Cross. And it's actually going to be Paper Commander. They're going to have a lot of streaming, a lot of the Command Zone guys, Loading Ready Run, a lot of the big time guys. Gavin Verhey is going to be one of the streamers. They're going to do some silly rules and challenges with games, and they're doing it in association with, and now I'm not going to remember, Spellbook. It was spellbook.com, I believe it was called.
Is it Fireball that's doing it? Channel Fireball?
It is Channel Fireball,
Channel Fireball, okay.
But like I said, it's they're doing it in conjunction with a platform for playing Magic on with your phone, essentially.
Okay.
Spellbook, I believe, was the name of it. But
somebody out there may know.
Yeah. That part I did not get committed to memory before we came on live, but that seems pretty cool and interesting, and that'll be June 6th. So you guys can look out for that if you're looking for something to still get involved in.
I do want to mention right here at the front, for any of you that are local and that are still on the fence about coming out for one of our small pod release events, I have a couple of them that aren't filled. We're just doing 8-player pods, wearing a mask here in the store. And the noon and 3:30 ones still have some slots. If you can't make it out for those, or you don't feel comfortable doing that, which I understand because we're kind of not doing what we're supposed to,
right,
then you can get an at-home pre-release kit. It's $30. That includes tax. It does come with 2 booster packs, because that's the prize packs that Wizards sends me. So you're going to get those. And if you come and play, you might end up not getting 2, but you got a shot at door prizes and stuff.
That's true.
Because if you don't win 2 rounds, it's a pack per win. So anyway, that's coming up tomorrow. We're playing. We've got a couple. They're already filled at 6 and 10. Saturday, 12, 3:30, and then a 2-headed giant at 7. And the 2-headed giant's done. So anyway, that's coming up. I didn't gather a lot of news on this, but there has been a lot of talk recently about a D&D movie, a new one. It's a little bit of a joke because the past ones haven't been that good.
No, they really haven't.
We have to hope that if they make another one, it's a little better. That, Hasbro's got to deal with, what was it called? Entertainment One or something, I believe, was the name of it. They've got to deal with them to do all their movies or something. So anyway, they've got. I think they've got somebody to write it and direct it, maybe, or they've got some names attached to it.
Right.
Anyway.
I mean, there's some people.
And there was talk about it, so it's been in the news, a couple of my news feeds, a couple times this week.
We know we got
fingers crossed. I mean, it can be done right. The Avengers did a good movie,
right?
Marvel did a good movie with the Avengers and all that. So maybe we get the right people working on it. We can get something
right. They have
good.
to pick the they have to make the decision. Do they pick a classic story that may be more known? Do we go to like Forgotten Realms and tell like an Elminster story or something that has, or do we do Dritz, or do we do just original?
Why would you not do Dritz unless you can't for some reason?
Right.
Why would you not do Forgotten Realms? It's the most known.
Yeah.
Why would you not do Dritz? Why would you not do the stuff that we know? Why would you not use the characters that we know? Do good casting for them. Put people in there.
I'm in complete agreement. I think that's the best way to go. Forgotten Realms has the richest depth of characters, not just our Dritz Duerden that everybody knows, but like I said, you have your Elminsters, and the City of Waterdeep is almost like a character, the Masked Lords. There's a lot of stuff, very well-known stuff.
It's got the highest chance of doing something well, and then if they can do something, they can springboard. They can go do something else.
Right.
We can go there to Eberron,
right,
or Dark Sun, or do something,
something odd. Go to Dragonlance.
Maybe we didn't get some Greyhawk if we get something rolling, and you got to use your best properties, and right now that's the Forgotten Realms.
I would absolutely agree that that's where they have to try to focus.
So that's not the only D&D news that I saw today.
No, you had something else that was intriguing.
Hasbro is starting to cross the streams a little bit, and so
Egon said don't.
Well, Egon, we've already flirted with a little bit, so they're doing it some more. My Little Pony is going to have a crossover with Dungeons and Dragons. You can go Google that up and look it up. I don't have the website in front of me, but use your Google foo. It's there.
It is.
It's going to come with 5 of the ponies, and I don't know what the ponies' names are, if they've got names or whatever. But Wizard, Druid, Barbarian, Rogue, and Bard. And it's going to come with a D20 and I believe a DM screen.
Yes.
And I don't know what the price is. It's not out yet, but it has been announced. It's a real thing, and it's coming at some point to us. So I was told that I needed to get one for my granddaughter.
No.
I don't even know if she likes My Little Ponies yet. She old enough for us to figure that out. I bought her some Magic My Little Ponies.
Yeah, she does have that.
So I have started a My Little Pony collection for her.
What was that called? Magic the Ponying or something? Or what was it? I don't remember.
Pony the Gathering?
Pony the Gathering? Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, so I don't know. I got one for her. So Grandpa's going to keep it safe, though, so you don't chew it up or nothing, So Grandpa's going to hang on to it until you get a little older, and then maybe I'll make a display case to hang it up with or something, I almost got her something else made.
I know you did.
Have you told Shirley?
Yeah, I told Shirley you were working on it.
Yeah, it's got one more coat of paint, and then I'm gonna distress it a little bit. So we'll see.
You mentioned display cases there, and it made me think way off here in a totally different direction a little bit. But something else that came out today, he sent out a message to everybody involved, but just anybody that might be interested, the secret lairs, the fetch land and secret lairs have been delayed to June 12th.
Yeah,
they come in a special case,
Oh yeah. I'm going. Where are you going with this?
They come in that special collector's case.
I didn't say nothing about a display case to nobody all day. So, but another printing delay because of the first C word we talked about.
Right.
So, yeah, June 12th. It was supposed to be out at the end of this month. It's getting pushed back to June 12th. Only getting 4 here. They're already sold. Nobody contact me.
Right.
I got 4 locals taking care of those. So, and I sent a message to all of them to let them know today that they were going to get pushed back.
Just information. I know. Hopefully they don't get pushed back too much. I've seen a couple people online that have canceled their secret lair gods because they still hadn't received their Theros gods, because some of those have got pushed back and there have been delays in the shipping. And I'd read today somebody finally canceled because they were just like, I'm tired of waiting at this point. So
it's weird because that seems odd. If you wanted it, but now that you don't, did you really want it to start with?
I don't know.
Maybe they lost their job and now they just want their money back. Which is a valid thing. But I mean, if I want something, I still want it. I ordered, for your information, I don't Kickstart very often. Frank's in here, and they Kickstart all the time, I know, up there in Bolivar. But I Kickstarted Therese Nilsson's tokens almost 1 year ago today It's a year ago at the end of this month. They took my money.
Yep.
Almost a year ago. I got update 55 saying they're at Cardamundi. They're at the printer. I don't know what the timeline from there to me having them in my hand, but I'm going to have some sweet tokens for you at some point. Some play mats, uncut sheet, cool stuff. As soon as I know when I'll have them, I'll advertise how I'm going to sell them or what I'm going to offer them for as a prize or something. But they're going to be super sweet. Therese Nielsen. There are foil tokens. There are non-foil tokens. Uncut sheet. Some play mats. I don't even remember what I got. It's a year ago, people.
It's super cool stuff that I'm excited to get a hold of too. But it's been. I almost forget about it.
So it's caused. I mean, we had delays because they were getting the foiling just right, and there was lots of add-on goals. I forget what you call them, but there was lots of
stretch goals, and so she had to do extra art for extra tokens and play mats and stuff. And and then they didn't like the foiling process, and they didn't like and then the C word hit, and then and so here we are. But it is. I'll get them at some point this summer, fall, next year. I don't know. Maybe you can do something with them when I'm gone. I don't know. Whenever they get in here, So that is coming. Another thing is, I know a lot of people haven't been into the store since we remodeled a little bit, but we did remodel a little bit. Put up some more slat wall, move some stuff around, and so forth. But the demo games are now in the vault. Yep, they have moved to the vault.
I had them out here, and they moved to the vault because next week Alliance Distributors opens back up, and I'll be placing an order to get a reorder on some Small World and some Ticket to Ride and some of the Unlocked. I know some of you got into the Exit and the Escape Room stuff.
Right.
So I'll have some more Unlocked next week. They open up. I should get those hopefully next week. And I had to make room for them because I got these other shelves filled up. So I needed room for that stuff that I've been out of and waiting because they have the exclusive. And Alliance has been closed down for like 6 or 8 weeks now.
It's been quite a while.
They've only got it until the 1st of July, and then another distributor that I much more enjoy dealing with will have it. And I think it will be faster and easier for me to restock when it gets there. They don't have such a large minimum. And it's just easier. They're easier to deal with, in my opinion. So, anyway.
On that World of Board Games, you mentioned Small World. You posted this up yesterday. I'll go ahead and mention this, too.
Yep.
I just saw it today. I didn't read anything about gameplay, but for all the Warcraft fans out there, there is going to be a Small World of Warcraft board game coming out. Looks like it could be fun. I'm liking that we're starting to see some more takes on some of these games, some more licensed versions. Munchkins obviously went crazy with licensed versions, but
a little too crazy.
But some of these other games, like the Star Trek Catan, that's cool. They haven't done a lot of license, but a few. And Small World of Warcraft, that makes me smile. That'll probably be cool. And Warcraft was originally an RTS kind of game on computer before World of Warcraft, so it'll actually fit the gameplay. It'll actually be like a board game version of original Warcraft game, so I think that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty neat. I know I hit or miss, guys, but I don't have a media manager, so it's just me. But when I come across cool stuff, I try to post it up on the tabletop side or on the Grove Gamers Guild site. Usually more Magic-related stuff there, to be honest. And we got the tabletop side. So trying to post it up. If you got something cool you come across. I got a share out from the 417 group on something I posted up. Oh, there's a Alliance and Diamond, part of Geppy Enterprises. What are you doing to my computer? Anyway, they're doing a thing about say some words.
I can say some words. I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah.
I'm getting there because
Right.
I forgot what it's called.
Yeah,
it wasn't in my notes,
gamers.
but since we're coming up with some things here.
Like I said, I thought the Small World of Warcraft was worth mentioning. I know several of the people, locals, that play Magic now and watch the stream. If they do not currently, they have at one time played World of Warcraft.
So if you go to Back the Comeback, you can buy shirts that are going to help support the comic and game community. You can see the charities that they support. And it's a symbol. I don't know if you ever collected comics, but it's kind of the
I don't.
was it
The
called?
comic
Book Authority came out in the 50s.
Yeah.
To make sure that comic books didn't get too crazy and talk about the wrong things because little kids were getting their hands on them.
Right.
So anyway, our comeback will be bigger than our setback. You can get T-shirts with that on it. They're going to have a bunch of stuff supporting that. They're going to do an auction in July, again, for charity and whatnot.
That's really cool.
Steve Geppy, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, is donating like $50,000 worth of collectible stuff for this auction. So anyway, it's kind of a neat thing, another way to try to help keep some small businesses going. I heard today in a unrelated note that there are some estimates that there's already 100,000 small businesses closed.
Yeah, it's been
that will not reopen because of that C word.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
So
this is a great
please don't
thing.
let it be your LGS or your favorite comic book shop if you've got one. Support them all you can, guys.
Yeah, these shirts, by the way, this would look really cool. If you guys are a comic person, you know the symbol we're talking about. Used to be up in the corner of every comic book ever. Those look pretty cool. I'd like one of those.
It's yellow. Yeah, you can just go to Back the Comeback.
Yes.
And you can check it out. So, and anyway, that's something I shared out today, and that got a share, I believe, from the 417 group because they also thought it was cool, you know. Demo game. You got anything else there?
Oh, no, not off the top of my head. I think we hit on, like I said, I tried to dig up some other.
I have sent out a private invite to certain individuals who are on here and some who aren't about events in the future and how they felt about doing them. So I will be in contact with that message group in the future about how we're going to go about doing that. Hopefully we get some of this social distancing let up. I know there's lots. It's a hot button topic. We're not going to get into that here right now, but it is backbreaking for a lot of small businesses. So everybody be safe. Do what's safe for you, and I'll support you in it. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about a podcast. Now that Mark Rosewater, they're working from home. We've talked about this on Reblogatog.
Right.
Because we took that to a separate show. You can go to YouTube and watch that. Now that they're working from home, he doesn't drive to work. So his drive to work, he's taken to doing some interviews over the phone or the internet or whatever.
Right.
And posting them up in his usual slot. And so I haven't listened to a bunch of those, but I heard he did Richard Garfield. So I went and listened to that today. And he was talking to Richard Garfield about Alpha and some of the stuff. And so I made some notes here. Bear with me as I go through my notes. And I just wanted to share some of the stuff. We thought we'd talk a little bit about it, about how Magic came to be. So if you don't know, Peter Adkison started Wizards of the Coast, started as a role-playing game company, but he knew Richard Garfield, and he asked him to make something small and light and portable that could be played at conventions in small spaces and quickly, because, you know, role-playing games take a while, so it's just kind of a breath of fresh air, just something different. And that's kind of how Magic came to be designed.
And something made on cardboard was actually something paper, cardboard, fast and cheap to print, was one of the big things to start with that they wanted, where they could mass produce a lot of them real easily.
So he actually, and he had mentioned this earlier because I did a little research, because I think I have this book at home, but I do not remember the story on it. But he said that he was inspired for the 5 colors. It was always 5 colors. He was inspired to do that by a book, and I looked it up. It's by Lyndon Hardy from 1980, actually, called Master of the 5 Magics. And that he had a friend who had liked that book and talked about it, and that inspired him to do the 5. 5 works out really well. Mark Rosewater's talked about it. Makes it good for enemy colors. 5, you want it to be an odd number. Anyway, you just have to get into all that with the design stuff. But anyway, it was always 5 colors, and that's what inspired it, was that book. Mark asked him about the 20 life. Was it always 20 life? And he said, yeah, he thought it always was. It was just a nice round number, and a lot of stuff that he started with, he just went with intuition, just his gut. And most of the time, it worked out. The 7-card starting hand, it just seemed like a lot of games, card games started with 7, so he just used 7.
Right.
Now, in a related note, he did mention Keyforge, which he used 6 for, and 6 worked out really good for Keyforge.
Right.
But he just thought 6 was good for it and used it, never changed it, you know.
To tie this back into, I believe, last week's episode of Reblogatog, where he mentioned something, this is all proof of where he was talking about Richard Garfield being the best he's ever seen at blue sky design. Things that don't exist that need to exist.
Yeah,
20 life seems right. 5 colors seems right. 7 cards in the hand. It's what Richard Garfield was really good at, just creating the very concepts of this is what seems like would make a game.
Right. So another thing that was interesting to me is originally, and not many people know this except us old coots, original deck size was 40. 40 across the board. There was no 40-60, there was just 40.
Well, there is no limited
40 minimum.
Yeah.
40 minimum, not a 60
right.
that we have today. So the reason for that is that, and you some of you will never get in this mindset, but you got to get back to a mindset of the early 90s, pre-internet basically.
Right.
He thought that at best people would buy what we used to call tournament packs, a starter deck. But the starter deck had all 5 colors in it, various basic lands, but it was 60 cards with some rares, uncommons, commons.
Right.
He thought people at most would buy one of those in 2 or 3 packs, or maybe they'd buy a handful of packs, and they'd build a deck with that, and that's all the cards they would ever have.
Right.
And so if you took a 60-card deck, about the most you could do is cut it to 40 and still have a playable amount. And so that's kind of how he came up with 40, is he thought they'd want to take and cut some of the stuff out and make it play a little better.
Right.
So 40 is where he got that. No, that's how he came up with the number. But of course, we all know that didn't work out.
That didn't stand long, yeah.
No, once they started getting organized and all that, they came up with the 60 card and so forth. Another thing, and I don't know if I made mention of it later. Yeah, I'll talk about that later. We'll kind of come back on that just a little bit. But he said that lands, creatures, and spells were the first types, because there was originally 7 types. Lands, creatures, instants, sorceries, interrupts, enchantments, and artifacts. Those are the original 7 card types. And so he said lands, creatures, and spells, because lands were first, because you had to have something to power it.
Right.
And then you had to have he wanted a permanent that stuck around, that you could pay for and stick around and it done something for you. And then you needed spells that were just temporary things. And so that's what those were. And then he said instants probably came before sorceries, but they were pretty close.
Right, that makes sense.
And then once they played with those a little bit, that's when he knew he needed an interrupt, because he needed something faster than an instant, because there were counter spells. You needed to be able to stop a thing that was happening. Now, later on, design would determine you didn't need those.
Right. They created the stack, and that changed how...
Yeah, the stack didn't exist, okay? So that's how we got our types. He said enchantments came before artifacts, but they were all pretty early, because he wanted spell effects that could hang around for a little while.
Right, that makes
That's
sense.
what an enchantment was, and they had kind of world enchantments like Circles of Protection were always in there.
Right.
And then he wanted like a giant growth that would stick around, so an enchantment that would go on there and make it bigger. But it'd stay, it wouldn't just go away at end of turn. So those were some of the first things. And his first alpha, when he thinks alpha, he thinks his first set of cards, which was 120 cards, and he would just randomize those and give his playtester 60, and he would keep 60, and they would play. That's how he play tested it right there. And he would just print those out black and white on a printer.
Right.
They were about half the size of a Magic card is today. The first mechanic was flying, because it was just so easy. Dragons had flying. It was just a natural.
Right, that one makes sense.
He thought regeneration might have been second, because he wanted some way for creatures to hang around
Right.
even after they died.
Your skeleton, like your dread skeleton, just to start with,
He said it was either that or it could have been land walk, because once he had flying, he wanted something comparable to that.
Right.
So he thought about the land, and so we came up with swamp walk and forest walk and so forth. So land walk might have been the second one. Trample was also pretty early, because that seemed like something, a big creature ought to be able to get through more damage.
Yeah, little 1/1 shouldn't be able to stop the crawl worm.
First strike and banding, because Mark Rosewater was asking him questions he gets asked all the time he doesn't know answers for, because he wasn't there at the beginning. First strike was probably at the very end, and banding was towards the end, because he was trying to create a mechanic built from the world that allowed people to help each other. So it allowed your creatures to help one another.
Yeah.
That's where banding came from. But it ended up being kind of convoluted, which is why we don't have it today, right? He did say that evergreen keywords were very powerful and that they really resonated with people, and you really need those. And he's learned that through game design through the years.
Right.
And he always puts those in because, flying, in Alpha, there was no reminder text.
No.
And that there's no card in Alpha that says flying, this creature can
only
fly.
be blocked by another creature with
there's
fly.
none of that. There's nothing on Trample about what Trample does. That's in the little rule book.
The little rule book, yeah.
So he said he learned early on about that, and he didn't have the, as he called it, the technology to put the flavor text. But of course, later on they would. He said very early on, not the first time they played, but very early on, they realized that running out of cards should be a game loss. It was pretty standard in a lot of other games that if you couldn't continue, you lost the game. And so if you're out of cards, you can't continue. So that became a game win. And so that was really early on in design that they figured that out. It wasn't early on that it happened, but they figured it out early on in design. We talked about this on Reblogatalk, but Birds of Paradise used slush art very late in the design. And it was used from Volcanic Island
or Tropical Island, one or the other,
because it had the bird very prominent in it. And it was one of the last cards added to the design file, believe it or not.
If not the last.
And if not the last, and it's become very iconic. He said Goblin Balloon Brigade was also a late addition. Pay 1 red, make it fly, a flying goblin.
It's some of my favorite art, though, is the goblins in the balloon.
Some of his personal favorite cards, the very first one he named, and if Mitch is still in here, he'll love this, is Nightmare. Nightmare, he loved Nightmare. He was also a fan of Force of Nature and Lord of the Pit. He liked big creatures that had drawbacks. So,
they don't still really make those, you notice?
No, they don't.
There's not a lot of drawbacks anymore.
No. Big creatures with downsides. He liked those. He also always had power and toughness on him. He never had just one number. If you played some games where power toughness is the same or whatever. Never had 3 numbers or anything. There was never any other stat. It was just always power toughness. And he never had, he didn't design the game, because it was supposed to be light and portable. He didn't design it to have counters.
Right.
So he never wanted to track that damage from turn to turn. So they always healed up at the end. So it was always just as it is.
We don't see
today.
poison counters till what? Are we dark with poison counters? Is that really the first time you get counters?
I don't know. I have to go look. He says one of the things is that the rules were a mess in the first few years. And that's true. If you played back then, you'd get the latest duelist and flip through it and see if they had some card rulings on there about how a card worked. Because the little tiny rule book and the duelist, and then later on a thicker rule book was all you had.
Yeah.
And he says, he really learned a lot from that if he had to do it over, he'd make sure that it was all lined out much easier. He said when playing it just made sense, but then once you had a lot of people playing and lots of interactions, then it just got more difficult, and he'd have that lined out more if he was starting over today. Mayro asked you about cards that didn't make the cut, and he couldn't remember any. He remembered a couple of specific, but primarily cards that changed ownership of cards other than ante, because ante was a thing.
Ante was a thing.
Ante was a thing. We used to play. I never played any constructed Magic for ante in my life. It's not something any of us wanted to do because it was optional.
Right.
But I went to some tournaments, sealed deck tournaments, and pre-release tournaments where it was mandatory that you play for ante in the very early days.
Right.
So other than that, but they didn't make the cut. They messed with ownership. So one of them, you remember, was called Eco Shift, and you shuffled both players' lands together and then dealt them out randomly.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Okay? And then another one was a Pixie, where you would swap a card, 2 cards from each player's hands. They would swap them. Okay? It was a permanent swap.
That actually sounds kind of cool and interesting, especially if it was at random.
He said a lot of those cards built unhealthy gameplay, and he found people who didn't care if they won or lost. They just wanted to mess with all the cards. And so he got away from those designs, and they didn't make the final cut because they messed with that.
They messed with the fun.
But I can tell you that when I played against him, if you've heard me talk about this, at Worlds in Memphis, I drove down there and I played a Spell Slinger 1 game against him with my elf deck. He played exactly those kinds of cards. Exactly those kinds of cards. But they were all very fair. When he would give me a land, usually it was a land that tapped for any color mana.
Right.
When we swapped cards, I usually didn't get really the short end of the stick. It wasn't a mean swap. Sometimes I would get the better of the swap. It'd be a random kind of swap. And it was just fun. And his daughter at the time was drawing the pictures on the cards, and we put them in sleeves of the land. He's just making up his own cards. That's the only time I ever played him. And I won, so I'm undefeated at Worlds if you haven't heard my story. I'm 1-0 against Richard Garfield at Worlds. That's a fact. That's a fact. I don't have much to hang a hat on, but I got that one. So, very interesting podcast. If you want, go take a listen. I had a great time listening to it. Learning a lot. He's went on and designed lots of games.
Oh,
some of the games I've got here, King of Tokyo, and just a lot of games. Keyforge,
even he did Artifact, which was a digital card game. He's done just the Great Dalmudi. Maybe we still have a copy of that around here. He's done a lot of games over the years.
He has done a lot of games over the years.
Actually, the game that he initially, when he went into Wizards of the Coast, and got asked to make Magic the Gathering, he was there to try to sell a different game to Peter Atkinson. He was there to try to sell Robo Rally. But Robo Rally was too big and too expensive at the time because Wizards of the Coast was a small game studio that couldn't really afford to make all the moving pieces at Robo Rally. Robo Rally has now been made.
Oh, yeah.
After he made Magic the Gathering, they obviously made Robo Rally for him, but he went in to pitch Robo Rally, and they said, we can't afford to make that, essentially, but would you be able to make a quick-to-play game that you can make on cardboard?
Yep.
And that's what spurred Magic.
That's it. So we're kind of winding down here. Are there any questions, comments that we need to be aware of? I was going to go over the fact that I got in some new games this week. There was Mobscenity, kind of a party game. Play the world's most inappropriate party game, the game that knows no bounds other than the dirty minds of the players. Every round you take 2 turns picking 2 seemingly innocent words from the deck. Each player then tries to come up with the best definition for the word combination.
Okay.
So
that could be fun.
Looks like dolphin and chocolate are a couple of examples here on the back. So that's Mobscenity, if you want to try that out. For you kids today, we got Say What You Meme.
Oh,
so,
my Lord.
That's...
Say what you mean.
You can create your own memes and choose which are the funniest. Inspired by the popular internet memes that are found on social media sites. So you can make your own meme.
Yeah, it looks like it's got pictures and words to match up into memes, or you write down. Yeah,
right, draw a hashtag card, choose a hashtag for the round, and draw an image card. Everyone writes down a caption for the image using the hashtag to create their own funny meme. Pick the best meme using a unique elimination process. That's how it works.
That's cool.
That's a game. And then another party game, Personally Incorrect. which is not intended for family game
Not
nights.
intended for family game.
No, none of these. Actually,
None of these.
actually,
Say
say
what
what
you
you
mean.
mean. I believe is 14 and up or something.
Yeah.
But personally incorrect is read a question using the name of a player at the table. Everyone plays an answer from the hand. Vote on the best answer. Insert name. So I'd say Alan wakes up every morning saying he will never mix blank and alcohol again, as an example. And so old creepy men, meth labs, crack, feminists, and miniature ponies are some possible answers to that.
I'll never mix miniature ponies and alcohol again. Never
There
do
you
it.
But I got some other stuff in too. We didn't play test this, and we didn't play test this either.
Yeah.
Those are little 1 to 5 minute games.
They look. They
for I
sound
think
interesting.
8 and up. They might be 14 and up.
Right.
But they're family friendly. That's another game that I got
They
in.
sound very interesting. Like I said, we got new exit games in.
New exits. Hopefully next week I'll have some
You've had
unlocked.
this one in for a little while, but I just want to show this off. If there's anybody that's artistic around here,
Tattoo stories.
tattoo stories.
If you can draw, yeah.
It sounds like a cool game, but I can't draw, so there's no need of me trying to buy it or play it. But
You're gonna vote on who makes the best tattoo, basically.
right,
So
you get a prompt and you draw up like a. So for the artistic people out there, I think that'd be a very fun game. But I'm not one of them, so I guess I can't really speak for them. I don't know.
yeah, that's not a game for me because stick figures are rough.
Right.
All right, my stick figures don't look like stick figures, basically. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on. I got a bunch more sleeves and stuff in this week, kind of getting geared up.
Some cool Monopoly deck boxes. I don't know why they're so cool, but it
Yeah.
puts a smile on my face when I saw them.
Dice are stocked back up.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. I'm about restocked, other than the stuff I'll be getting next week because I've been waiting for Alliance to reopen. If there is anything, you guys, questions or anything, I don't know. No.
No. All right.
Haven't seen any comments.
No, not really.
We are going to be a little short tonight, guys. We apologize.
We
but,
still ran 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's just not a lot going on, so we're having to create a little extra content. If you got some ideas about things you'd like to see us do, conversations, topics, or whatever, post them in the comments. Post them. Send me a PM or Alan, and let us know. One last thing. I still got this backpack drawing going on. So everybody that comes in makes a purchase once per day all month. At the end of the month, I think it's episode 68, we'll be doing a drawing for that backpack. I showed it the last couple weeks. It's got about $250 worth of board games in it. Somebody in that's going to get it. So come in and buy something.
Come in and buy something.
And get your name entered. It's that easy. I think that's about it.
I think that's about it.
We're going to milk it too far if we ain't careful.
Yeah. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, catching us this week. And we will be back next week. We'll have had Ikoria cards in our hand.
Yes.
So we will probably have some more things to talk about.
Oh, we didn't talk about the card.
Oh, the card?
The card. Remember, we were going to talk about the card?
We were going to talk about the card.
Alan got tickled at me. I know people are already dropping out of here because they think we're done. We'll tack it on. This is the after hours version.
This is the after hours version. Here's
What's the name of it?
Aegis Turtle.
Aegis Turtle. It is 1 blue mana. 1. It's a common. It's a 0/5. Now, I took a look. That's pretty cheap. I don't believe there's any other 05s in Magic for 1 mana.
Not that I found. I just did a quick look, but I did not.
Definitely not in Ikoria. And I took a look at my green, and the only commons in green that can kill it without assistance are, was it Honey Mammoth, which is a 6/6 for 6.
Yeah.
And then the Sandworm.
Yeah, the Greater Sandworm.
Greater Sandworm, which for 7 mana is a 7/7, can't be blocked by power less than 2. That's the only green commons that can take it out. Every other green common has to have a boost. So that's a 2-for-1 that blue's getting at common because it's probably going to take you 2 cards to kill that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like a big waste to have to use something as good as, say, I know Murder's not in the set, but
Yeah.
seems like it seems too good. That's common power creep that's gotten out of hand.
You don't want to have to giant growth one of your creatures to kill their 1-drop?
No. No. I do not. I do not want to have to spend 7 or 8 mana to kill a 1-mana creature. That's going too far.
I'm not going to argue with you at all. It's.
Oh, I thought you were.
I can argue a little bit. I was just very amused. I don't have an argument against you. I don't think blue should have an 0/5 1-drop either. I was amazed that no one else has had an 0/5 1-drop. There hadn't been a white one.
I thought white had. White's got some 0/4 1-drops.
Right.
There was a camel that was an 0/4.
And I was surprised that there either wasn't a white card or just an artifact creature, some kind of construct that was a big 0/5 or something. But the only 0/5 I could find in Magic for a CMC of 1 was Aegis Turtle. So, and it is ridiculous because
it's wrong.
It's gonna make limit. It makes me afraid for draft being.
I don't know. I haven't read anything about the Aegis Turtle problem, so I'm probably making all this up.
Probably,
but it seems wrong.
An 0/5 1-drop at common just feels like a way to gum up the ground game and draft real bad.
Yeah, that's what blue wants to do. What else is it going to do on turn 1? It's not going to do anything else on turn 1. Why wouldn't you play this if you're in a blue deck? Why wouldn't you? Limited, not constructed.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing constructed. I'm arguing limited. What else are you going to do for 1 blue? You can't anticipate till turn 2. You know, what else are you going to do?
I don't know. It's good. It is good.
And then once you have it down, you don't have to worry for a little while. You got a guy, you know.
Right.
Whatever they're playing on turn 2 isn't coming through on turn 3. It seems busted to me. Seems busted. The power is too high.
That's right. Blue is busted because they have an 0/5.
Yes.
That 0/5 vanilla.
You heard it here first. We want that Nobel for squirrel casting next year.
Right.
Nobody else is bringing you the hard-hitting stories like we are.
0/5 vanillas are too powerful for blue.
They are. They are. If it had been in white, I probably wouldn't have said a word. Probably not. They already had an 0/4. It almost made sense. But in blue?
That's fair.
I mean, it doesn't belong in black or red or green.
No.
So if you've got to give us an 0/5, it should have been in white.
It should have been.
See, now we got people going, what are they still doing? They're still going.
They're still talking?
It went down and went back up. People goes, wait, they're still, what are they talking about? Aegis Turtle.
Aegis Turtle. It broke Magic. Ikoria is a set that ruined Magic. No, not Companion, not Lurrus. That's not a problem.
No. It's Aegis Turtle.
It's Aegis Turtle.
0/5 1-drop in blue. What am I supposed to kill it with? I'm gonna have to use a kill spell.
The power creep has gone too far, folks.
I'm gonna have to giant growth my 3-drop green creature to kill it.
Oh, the giant growth costs 3 in this set too. So
yeah. So on turn 4, which they'll counter or bounce it and replay it.
If they're playing blue properly,
it ain't right. It ain't right. Blue gets the cheap answers.
They do. They shouldn't have the cheap.
Shouldn't have cheap answers. They're drawing all those cards. They shouldn't have cheap answers.
Well, you know, you pay to draw all those cards, you ain't got a lot of money. A lot of mana left.
Mana, and money, 2 things.
You ain't got a lot of mana left to pay for those answers, so they got to be cheap too.
Whatevs. Anyway, I think we're done. We appreciate y'all hanging out. Hope you got a little bit of entertainment value there. And don't forget to come out to Grove Gamers Guild, where
everybody knows your game.